Alright, this is something nostalgic because we used to have one of these things. It is a first generation Toyota Vios, which says he wants everything. Meaning that he wants an intake, he wants a full exhaust with our long tube headers, and then he wants a tune also, which we're going to be doing with Unichip. I drove this car and it's pretty impressive for a first gen Vios with the stuff that he put in. So first of all, that you notice in the engine, there is a 4-point strut bar here, and underneath there is a sway bar also, and inside there are two real genuine Recaro Enjoy seats. This tells me, number one, the guy knows what he's doing, and number two, he gets pretty much the best parts for his car, and that's why he came to us, because he knows that we're the only guys that can make the correct intake, the correct exhaust, and more importantly, to be able to tune his Vios. And a couple of things that I noticed also, and of interest for most of you guys here, the first gen Vios still has a cable throttle. That there is still a cable throttle. It is not an electronic throttle yet. So we have people ask us, let's say, I have a 1998 Lancer or a 2000 Civic. Do I need a throttle controller? No, you don't, because there is nothing to control. This cable here is a direct 1:1. So if you step on the pedal 50%, this thing opens 50%. There's nothing much more to enhance. So the Unichip we'll be using on this one is the Unichip Q, or well, X now. That's the one that doesn't have the other functions like boost control, nitrous control, throttle enhance, additional ejector control. So just the bare bones Unichip will work. And the things that we're going to be adjusting is fuel, amount of fuel that goes in, and ignition timing. So it's pretty much it. We can also adjust the mass airflow sensor voltage actually. And the intake that we're going to be doing is a KN intake, which will go here to this part. So this tube we will keep as is, because there's not much point changing this one to a metal and silicone one. It's just for looks. But what's more important is that this stock air box goes away, the stock filter goes away. We'll change it with a KN code intake. And the other question that we always get is, will it suck in hot air? No, it will not suck in hot air, because the exhaust is there at the back. And when you are moving and when the car is moving, there is air that goes in here to the grill, that goes here into the engine. Most people seem to fail to understand that the air underneath the hood is not constant. It is always moving when the car is in motion. So there's always a supply of air that goes in from the outside to the filter. And I've seen people do this. Masyado mainit yung makina. Yes, of course, anything above your normal happy temperature will be mainit to you, because you, the human, are not a very good temperature sensor. And let's just put a few facts out there. Your normal operating temperature as a human is between 35 to 37 degrees. Another 2 degrees and you'd actually be sick. Another 1 to 2 degrees, you'd actually be dead. That's only 41 degrees. An engine's normal operating temperature is around 90 to 95 degrees. It's twice that of you, the human. So you cannot use yourself as a judge kung mainit yung makina o hindi. It's just two basically different things. So with that out of the way, we're going to start to removing the stock items. So we'll start with the intake, then we'll remove the exhaust as well. Then we're gonna lay it out side by side, the stock exhaust and the full exhaust with our long tube header. we've removed the stock exhaust system on the Vios, and this is it. This is all of it. This is the headers. This whole thing is the mid pipe. This is the catalytic converter. This is the silencer slash resonator, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. And that over there at the very end is the muffler. And what we're going to be replacing it is with this one, our long tube header. It's a 421 design. This is the best design that will fit underneath the car, that gives very good low, mid, high RPM power. And of course, we're going to complete the rest of the exhaust from here up to the back. We will add also a silencer because the owner specifically said that he does not want it that much more noisier than stock. And we'll be putting Borla muffler at the back also. But the highlight of this is the header, of course. Let's compare this one with this one here. The easiest way to think about headers and how they add performance is to equate these as roads or calzada. The faster that the cars can travel on the road, the more power you'll make. So that's the analogy. You don't need an engineering degree to see that if, imagine that the engine is a parking lot. This is the parking lot right here. These are the 4 exits. Obviously, if you have this one, magta-traffic dito if all the cars come out all at the same time. Versus something like this where the cars are separated by lane and the lane is long and they merge here some distance away from the parking lot itself. So this has better, faster exhaust flow than this one, thereby making more power. But if you make this too long, actually this is already too long for the Vios engine, and that's why we will be installing Unichip also to correctly tune it. Why that is because it's like this. We have to get the correct air-fuel ratio. Think of air-fuel ratio as the distance between cars. So car A and car B. There is a correct optimum distance for the engine to make maximum power. Make the distance too long, it loses power. Make the distance too short, it also loses power. And know that distance has nothing to do with the pulsing of the engine, just in case some smart ass wants to comment down below. No. It has to do with air-fuel ratio, and that's why we need Unichip to tune. In effect, what we'll be doing is, if the standard cars that come out, it comes out at this distance, with this header, the distance will actually get longer. So how to correct that is we have to send more cars out to close the distance in between both cars. That's the easiest analogy I can think of without going into any of the scientific principles behind air-fuel ratio and stoichiometric and correct fueling and all of that. So suffice to say that long tube headers with tuning will perform a lot better than the short header like this one. And for those who don't want to have a complete exhaust systems because just want to bolt on, because if we install this one, we are obligated to cut your exhaust system here. If you are the person who is cheap and on a budget and cannot spend for the rest of the exhaust, what we'll do is we'll cut this here and we'll connect the flange here to there. As much as possible, we don't like to do that, so anytime in the future that you want to put your car back to stock, all the original pieces are here like this. No cutting, no welding, no nothing. I don't like to modify this per se because once again, it affects the value of the car when you're going to sell it second hand. And this one you can sell off your performance parts separately, separate from the price of the car. The second hand market works in a way that just because you put in 300,000 worth of stuff in your car, it doesn't mean that you can charge that to your second-hand selling price up to the next guy. It doesn't work that way. So preferably put everything back to stock before you sell the car. And like I said, we do have a shorter performance header. It's also this short, but the tubing here is bigger and it does not merge as quickly as this one. We make it merge slightly farther here. In effect, it's also the same thing. Cars go out faster, making more power, but obviously not as much power as this. How much power, you ask? A stock shorty header like this one will give you about, on this Vios, about 3.5 horses. This long tube header can easily give you 7-8 horses more compared to a short header, but this needs tuning. If this is installed alone without any tuning of any kind, you will actually lose power because of the aforementioned that the cars are now too far away, thus leaning out the air-fuel ratio. Alright, we're done with our intake and our exhaust, and as you heard, it sounds pretty good, and it's pretty close to, well, it's not stock, but still quite relatively quiet when you do floor it. And after intake and exhaust, we're going to be installing Unichip now, and this is our Unichip here. We'll be installing this one, and then we're just going to be using the Unichip Q version because, like I said, this has normal cable throttle. There's no point in getting the more expensive Q4 or Unichip X Plus version for the additional outputs here. So, tipid ng konti. The computer box of the Vios is actually here underneath the glove compartment. There, this one here, it's that one. That's the ECU right there. So what we'll be doing is we'll be installing the harness, which is this one, the Unichip harness, to the ECU harness, not the ECU itself. So it's outside with ECU. We don't modify the ECU itself when you install the Unichip. And the other big question is, why not remap? Well, for the simple reason is, back in 2004, remap was not even in the dictionary. So no, this car really cannot be remapped, no matter how much you like it, which I really don't understand why people would be sad about if your car can't be remapped. You actually can remap, you just need to buy a Unichip to be able to remap the car. That's it. And for those curious, I'm gonna answer it already. What makes more power, remap or Unichip? Well, if it's normal cars like this, meaning 4-cylinder, non-turbo gasoline cars, they both make pretty much the exact same power. So it doesn't matter if we're tuning a Lancer, a Corolla, a Vios, an Accord, with Unichip or with remap, they pretty much make the same power, because with gasoline cars, there is a certain air-fuel ratio that makes power. It's not like a diesel where you just keep throwing more fuel and keep throwing more boost at it. It keeps getting more and more powerful until the check engine comes up. No, with gasoline cars, you have to get a correct air-fuel ratio. Usually, 90% of the cars are happy with 13.5 to 12.5. But there will be the rare occasions that there are some cars that'll be happy where it's a bit lean, like 13.8, almost 14. That's the air-fuel ratio that makes the most power. And some like it a little bit more rich, 12.2, 12 flat to make more power. So both Unichip and remap can adjust the air-fuel ratio to those levels, and that is what will make power in that particular car. And no, if you do two exact same cars with the exact same mods, one car will be more powerful than the other. It's just really like that. The same way that your phone and your friend's phone, if you're both running Android, both pretty much have the same app, number of messages, you do a speed test on both, one will come out faster. Why is it like that? It's just really like that. An even better example, you get twins, same age, same everything, same diet, same household, same mother. You let them both run 100 meters. One will win. They will not cross the finish line at the same time. That's 1000% guaranteed. One twin will be slower than the other twin. So anyway, we're going to be continuing with the install, and after that, we're going to tune it on the dyno and then see how much power we finally end up with.